high above the city of Cusco in Peru, you'll find these incredible monumental stone walls. They're called Sacsayhuaman. And, for centuries, they've been seen as this masterpiece of ancient engineering, a puzzle that has just completely stumped experts. But what if the story we've all been told is totally wrong? Let's dive into this architectural enigma and see what secrets these stones are really hiding.
So this is the big question, right? This is the one that's at the heart of the whole mystery. I mean, we're not just talking about some big rocks piled up. We're talking about these massive, irregular blocks, some weighing as much as a blue whale, all locked together like a jigsaw puzzle without a single drop of mortar. How on earth did they do that? All right, to even begin to get to the bottom of this, you first have to appreciate the just sheer scale and precision of what we're looking at. This isn't just a wall. It is a testament to a level of craftsmanship that seems, well, almost impossible for its time. Let's just start with the weight. Think about this. Some of the largest blocks here are estimated to weigh up to 125 tons. That is like lifting, moving, and then perfectly placing about 70 cars. The logistics alone are just staggering, especially when you remember this is a mountainous region and they didn't have draft animals or the wheel. And just look at this. This picture shows you exactly what I'm talking about. The joints are so tight you couldn't slip a knife blade, let alone a piece of paper, between them. This technique is called polygonal masonry, where every single stone is this unique, multi-angled piece. And get this, their surfaces are often curved, locking into their neighbors to create a structure that is famously earthquake resistant. To do this today, even with our modern machinery, would be an incredible challenge. So who gets the credit for this incredible feat? Well, the most widely accepted answer, the one backed by decades of archaeology and historical accounts, points directly to the amazing ingenuity of the Inca Empire. The official story goes like this. This massive project was started by the 9th Sapa Inca, a guy named Pachacuti. He was the ruler who turned the small kingdom of Cusco into this huge, sprawling empire. So this would place its construction right at the absolute peak of Inca power and influence. And make no mistake, the Incas absolutely had the skills for a project like this. They used these knotted cords called quipus for complex record-keeping and planning. Their architecture, with those signature trapezoidal windows, was specifically designed to handle earthquakes, and they were, clearly, masters of this exact type of mortarless masonry. Crucially, they had the state organization to get massive labor forces together to do the work. The big takeaway here is that the Incas had both the technical know-how and the organizational power to pull this off. This quote really gets to the motive. For the Incas, something like Sacsayhuaman wasn't just a fort. It was what scholars call an architecture of power. It was a physical statement, a way to show off the state's might, to show its control over the landscape, and to legitimize its rule. It was, quite literally, power carved into stone. Okay, so the case for the Incas is strong. It's built on decades of research. But it's not the only story out there. Now we're going to pivot to a completely different and, I have to say, highly controversial theory that challenges everything we just talked about. This theory suggests that Sacsayhuaman isn't ancient at all. So, in a 2024 paper, a researcher named Rostislav Lapshin puts forward this really radical idea. What if the polygonal masonry of Peru was actually made by European builders, and not in the 15th century, but hundreds of years later, maybe even as late as the early 1700s? And he suggests a very specific way they could have done it. According to this theory, the secret isn't some lost ancient technology, but known European technology. So, as you can see in this diagram, the idea is that the builders would first sculpt a small, detailed clay model of the wall. Then they'd use a device called a 3D pantograph, which is a mechanical tool for scaling sculptures, to trace the little clay block. The pantograph's movements would then guide the carving of a perfectly scaled-up, full-size stone replica. This method would let them create these complex, perfectly fitting blocks without all the endless heavy lifting and testing. But the argument goes beyond just the tools. Lapshin's paper claims that the very design of Sacsayhuaman is European. He says those iconic zigzag walls are not an Inca design at all, but a classic example of an early European star fortress. This style was specifically developed to defend against gunpowder weapons, with angled walls allowing for crossfire, a concept totally tied to firearms, not Inca warfare. So why would they build it and then hide the truth? Well, this theory suggests the motive was all about controlling the huge silver mines in the Andes. The The fortress was a military base, and the entire Inca Empire story was a myth made up by Europeans to centralize power and manage the local workers. The paper even suggests the Vatican was involved in designing a new local religion to keep everyone calm, and that the real story was later covered up for political reasons. So, now we have two completely different stories. One is about an indigenous empire at the absolute peak of its power, and the other is about a colonial secret that's been hidden in plain sight. Let's just put them side by side and take a look. This slide really brings it home, doesn't it? It shows how every single part of the story changes depending on which theory you're looking at. The builders, the time period, the tools they used, and the entire reason the place even exists, it's all up for debate. This isn't just a small disagreement, it's a fundamental conflict over the history of one of the world's most incredible structures. And this, right here, is the ultimate puzzle. The evidence, the stones themselves, that doesn't change. The perfect joints, the massive blocks, those are facts on the ground. But they're being used to tell two completely different stories. The mystery, then, isn't about a lack of evidence. It's about a deep, profound debate over how we're supposed to read it. So, as we look at these magnificent walls one last time, the question is still there. Are we looking at the absolute pinnacle of Inca engineering, an architecture of power from a lost world? Or are we looking at a sophisticated European fortress? A secret so well kept that it literally rewrote the history of an entire continent. The stones aren't talking, leaving us all to wonder what secrets they truly hold.